My name is Sylvia, and for today's meeting, I invited Mrs. Christina Lara Arnaud, who is Deputy Head of Procurement Service at CERN. Christina has over 26 years of experience in CERN procurement, and she implemented many projects like an e-procurement platform and also a series of e-learning modules. Myself, as the ILO, I think that CERN delivers a perfect training system for newcomers, new nominated ILOs, which is why I invited Christina to share her best practices with you by delivering a brief presentation. Let me continue. I will share my screen here. Yeah, is everything okay? Can you see that?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so let's start. Please, Christina.
Thank you. So as you can go ahead. I'm not going to spend too much time with the presentation. You have already done it. I just mentioned that I've just been very recently appointed member of the PCC board at the Fusion for Energy. Why I mention it, it's because I felt exactly the way that you should feel every time you arrive to a new organization. I hadn't got a clue how it worked, and that's also helping me to better understand what could be the needs when you arrive to a new institute, research institute. Next, please. So CERN has been organizing training for ILOs since 2016. At the beginning, we had every second year, we had a one-day training course, but recently we have had one every year, half a day training. The last training that took place this Monday, so it's quite recently. I don't think that many of you were present, but I'm going to try to, in the next slide, trying to explain you what we talk about during this training session. Go ahead and start clicking. So first of all, we explained you about your role. What are the facilities that CERN puts at your disposal? What are the tools that you can use? We are talking about e-tendering, e-procurement, web page, and of course, you need to have a little bit of knowledge and to be able to know who can you contact in case of problems, who can help you, which are the type of information that I can request from CERN, what statistics can I request from CERN, how can I request the statistics that will help me to cover my needs? Which are the contact persons that I have to contact, technical persons that I can contact in such a big organization? But also we will cover topics like the rules and procedures, because as you know, at CERN we don't follow easy rules, procurement rules, we follow our own rules. And we have to cover, we have to explain you which are our rules and procedures, which are the vocabulary that we use. Every organization has his own vocabulary. Which is the legal framework? What are the general conditions applicable to the contractors when they come to CERN? What type of templates do we use and we send out to the companies? If you haven't got a clue, you won't be able to give us right support to the potential suppliers. And just for information, you are going to share this slide. I just gave you the agenda of a typical training session. And last, I wanted just maybe to open the discussion because the questions are not, you should give us the answers. What topics do you want us to cover during the training sessions? We thought about all the topics that I mentioned before. There may be many others that we haven't thought about and that could be important for you. How often shall we give those courses? Every time we have a new ILO? The problem is currently we have 32 member states and associate member states, if I'm not wrong. How often do we do it? Every time there is a new ILO, once a year, once every 6 months? How long does it has to take? A day, half a day? How much time do you have? What type of documentation do you expect to have following this course? Our webpage gives plenty of information, and certainly most of the information should be available there. Should we have a documentation ready for new ILOs that we send to you every time there is a new one appointed? Do you have any additional needs? So those are the questions that we ask ourselves, and this is why it's interesting for me to be present today, because I hope that you will be able to give the answers. They told me to be quick. I hope I was quick enough.
Yeah, that was really fast and really quick.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. And I would like to open the discussion because usually, as Christina said, the training system at CERN covers every 2 years, newly appointed ILOs can attend the meetings and be trained. And actually, I also think maybe it's too rare, maybe it should be done more frequently. So now I would like to open the discussion and ask you, do you have some experience, best practices that you would like to share with us?
Sylvia, do you want on sharing so then we can see each other?
Okay.
And we keep the questions.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, so
Sylvia, the question was for me or was for the ILOs?
I asked everyone about what they think. If you would like to answer, Christina, you're welcome.
So I have a question to start. Just like at the moment, how do you organize this webinar? I mean, these trainings. How often are they? What's the current model?
So currently, we have had last Monday. I mean, 3 days ago, we had a Zoom training session. Everybody that wanted could join this session, and there are several procurement officers that did different presentations. Also, we ask IT people to come and to give the how to use. In particular, we have something that is called ILO Info, where you can get information about current and past tendering procedures, how to use it. So that was covered. We also explain what type of information you are going to get on an annual basis through the procurement report, and how the procurement report has to be understood, how is the industrial return being calculated, what's the difference between services, supplies, and so on. So that's the kind of information that we had. We had it this week, excuse me, because next week we have a finance committee meeting. The finance committee meetings takes place every 3 months. And as we had 3 or 4 new ILOs, we thought it was a good opportunity to have it this week. So you can understand the type of documents that you will receive next week and what's the procedure that has been applied.
Okay, so it depends on whether you have new identified ILOs or not.
Absolutely, it depends on you. We are here for you. We are here to help you. If you understand what we do and how we do our job, it's going to be much, much easier. If we speak the same language, we can better communicate. Our objective is that we help you in order to find the right companies in your member states, and that will also help us.
And do you have any material or information that's available between 2 sessions? Like, for instance, if there's someone who's looking for information, like a new ILO or something, like
we have an amazing webpage. Of course, it's me saying it, but the webpage is we have a dedicated section or website which is only for ILOs. We have another which is for external companies. We have another section which is for CERN personnel. And as ILOs, you can also have a look of what all the information that we have for CERN personnel. And then we have, of course, another part which is internal for procurement officers. And in the session for ILOs, we have many documents that are available for you.
Among the people in the audience, Sonia, please. Good timing.
Yes, Christina, do you have a Swiss ILO?
Of course. I think he is present in some of you. I don't know if he's present.
Thank you. One word answer, perfectly sufficient. Thank you.
Last training was delivered online because of the situation, but usually there are trainings on site. What do you think is the more effective way of training?
The best way is if you can come and you can see people. Is certainly extremely important that you see the premises, you see how big we are, what's the difficulties that we can, maybe you encounter coming to CERN, because those are the same obstacles that will encounter any company that wants to come to work with us in the future. You will better understand also a supplier. So in any case, whenever you come, it's an opportunity to meet not only the procurement officers, but also the technical officers.
Okay. Also, there is difference between ILOs. Some of them are from science and some of them are from business. You see the difference, and maybe, you know, the training system should be aware of it, and you should deliver different, you know, kind of trainings for technicians and different kind for business-oriented people.
No, because the job of an ILO is always the same. Like we have procurement officers, some of them have a more technical background and others have a more legal or commercial background. Diversity is always good.
Is there,
we can see when, yes.
I was just wondering if there's anyone in the audience who want to share like experience as an ILO working either with CERN or with another facility. What's your, I mean, how do you what's your expectations? What are your challenges, or how do you? Jorge, sorry, I saw you.
Yeah.
Your needs, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cristina. I am Jorge Lopez from Spain. I have a point because sometimes ILOs are covering different research infrastructures or big science organizations, and sometimes the big science organizations has different rules, mainly different rules of procurement, and also different rules of decision on contracts based on price, based on best value, and all of that. Do you make enough emphasis on the differences on your rules with other rules? Because I think this is paramount important. Could you please elaborate a little bit?
When I mentioned the rules and procedures, that's exactly what we do. And in our webpage, we have diagrams, we have life cycles, we have RASIs, we have all kind of information that you can go and come back and look at how we really do procurement at CERN.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I see among the audience also ILOs for different infrastructures, not only for CERN. Maybe you would like to share your experience training system in other infrastructures, maybe some of you.
Yeah, maybe Silvia, I can intervene. I would like to share with you the experience coming from CDTI. As you probably know, CDTI is a public entity, and we host all the Spanish ILOs. So in our daily work, we benefit from using common tools such as companies' databases or the Spanish industry capacities catalog. And I think that in training activities are in certain way intrinsic to our institution. When a new ILO is appointed, the rest of the colleagues can easily advise him or her, and the newcomer can quickly take advantage of all the tools, all the experience and learning lessons of their mates. So this is just an example, but in my opinion, and in addition, of course, of the training provided by the facility, I think that national and international networks of ILOs can play a very important role for sharing good practices and knowledge about how to act as an ILO.
Okay. maybe some more questions. Would you like to participate, for example, in knowledge exchange meetings between companies or between other Ilos? Maybe that would, you know, also help to improve, you know, the quality work of the Ilo. How do you think?
Silvia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think that Christina's presentation was very interesting, but she only spoke about information specific to CERN. And then there is the other part, which is if ILOs have to develop specific soft skills, competences, best practices, and so on. And I think that these things we learn from, I agree with it, in working together and sharing what we do, sharing how we organize events, how we approach companies, how we involve them and engage in SMEs and so on. I wanted to ask Christina, what skills, I mean, what basic skills, soft skills do you think are more important for ILOs? Communication skills, marketing, I don't know. What's your experience, Christina?
I will say that they need to understand a little bit what we buy. So some technical, that's not soft skills, that's clear. I will say that certainly communication will be good, and having a good knowledge of industry, of the countries, of the own country. We need you. It's important that they have a good communication, of course, with the companies that are in your country. But we also need you to understand how best serves the interest of your companies and of the organization that you are not representing, but for which you have been appointed. If you do not really understand which are the rules and how the rules in each organization work, you will not be able to help the companies. I know it's not soft skills, but it's very important that you know exactly how to best work with the organization. If you really understand how to work with the organization, you will be able to help companies and you will have a value added. So what's important is you have your own added value. Any company can come to CERN. We will also help them. What's important is that you have to help the companies that haven't thought about coming to CERN. I'm talking about CERN because I'm at CERN, of course. And that's important. And you have to be able to find the business opportunities. There could be a company that is interested that come to CERN, but she's missing a part of a requirement that could be requested in a future, in a current procedure. How can I help her to be able to answer and be competitive? What kind of how can I help the companies to make them understand what is needed to make their bid as competitive as possible? I don't know if I answered.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Mm-hmm.
So basically, you really need to have like a strong interaction and connection with the research infrastructure in order to like well understand what's the needs from inside, so then you can message that outside to the companies you're working within.
Absolutely.
This is kind of a soft skill, I guess. It's like,
yes.
It's pretty much linked to communication, networking, and like contact and personal.
Networking is basic. Networking is vital. And as Belen said before, also having this kind of communities that you are creating is important. You learn about what the others do. And inside CEDETI, the same thing happens. You can certainly give advice and see which companies, why some companies have not provided a good service in some organization and they have provided an excellent service in another organization. Why some of them work, why some of them do not work. What are they doing wrong or what are they doing well? And this experience, you can share it with the other companies.
Yeah, this is also important at CERN to know not only people from procurement, but also technicians, people that work in different fields, and you can contact company directly with them.
It's more important to know the technical people than the procurement people, as clear.
Yeah, from my experience, I must say that when I have, for example, 2 or 3 companies or 5 interested in a field, then CERN can organize a meeting now, virtual meeting, also with technicians, but also with people from procurement, so that the companies can introduce themselves. And this is a kind of, let's say, a little mission of Polish industry to CERN, because usually the mission happens like once a year or 2 per year, but a small meeting can be organized more frequently. And this is also very important for the companies, because there are many different subjects at CERN where a company can work. It's not only procurement, but also technology transfer. And we have some companies from Poland that are also interested in the technologies that are actually to take from CERN. I think that you know, the ability to have contacts, to get contacts, they are very much important, which is why I would like to ask you, Christina, one more question. Is it important to have the ILO, you know, on site, working permanently, for example, at CERN?
That's a very interesting question. The Spanish CDT have decided to have an internal ILO. Currently, we haven't got it, but up to, I think it was December, we had somebody, and it's extremely important. The industrial return for Spain has improved enormously since the ILO, for one simple reason, is because sometimes ILOs are not dedicated to one organization. They have several organizations to look after, and it's impossible to know everybody and to know all the procedures going on for every organization. So if whenever there is an internal ILO, only dedicated to an organization, we can see that there is a big difference, because he will take every single market survey, every single price inquiry, call for tender. He will do the research, trying to find suitable companies, and he will go and see the technical responsible for those tendering process, and he will find out more information maybe, and he can provide this information to the company that they can help them a little bit. He will go an extra mile to help them. And that certainly is going to be extremely important for some companies. Jorge.
Yes, Christina, I thank you very much. I would like to come back to about the skills you would like to have from Ilos. There are certain research organizations or big science organizations in which they know exactly what they want to buy, and they issue a tender, and then they need more an ILO as a procurement guy, and with a lot of networking and a lot of contacts and communication skills. But I think CERN is a little bit different in this respect, because you need a technical guy as well, because they need to understand the technology CERN is needing, because at the end, you at CERN are developing what you are doing at CERN with industry. So industry is not just a provider, it's a co-developer with you there at CERN. And then I think it is very important for CERN particularly, and maybe to others great in big science organizations, that the ILO has a very good technology skills to identify when help is needed by CERN, and then to be able to search this technology in the country. Could you please elaborate a little bit on that? Thank you.
Yes, so at CERN we buy everything. We buy things, as you say, that we need to develop, but we also buy standard products. The range is very large. In any case, it's absolutely true that if you want to go and talk to the technical persons, they feel much more comfortable, and they feel that they communicate much better with another technical person, somebody that can understand what they are speaking about. But there are so many different technologies that we buy that nobody can be an expert in everything. That's also clear. So I will say an advantage is an advantage to be an engineer, but you won't be able to be an expert in every area. That's clear. At least to have some kind of technical knowledge that they feel that they can speak to you about their technical problem is also very important for the technical responsible. And certainly you will be able to understand much better what we are looking for, and you will find the right companies for us. Sometimes following a short description, you don't really understand what needed behind the description, and you just maybe provide the names of companies that do not do exactly what we are looking for, and that's a waste of time for everybody in any case. So you are correct.
Okay, I would like to also ask about the collaboration between companies, because sometimes it happens that one company is not able to get with procurement, and there are, for example, two companies from different countries. So I think this is also important that ILOs have contacts between them, and companies have contacts. Now we have meetings like Big Science Business Forum, like ITER Business Forum, for example, where companies can meet up and talk to each other. But I think, and I believe that also this is very important, that ILOs exchange information about the industry. Does it often happen at CERN that, for example, there is one field covered by several companies from different countries?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, but if you were to recommend a specific training to a newly or recently appointed ILO or ILO colleagues, that's the question to other ILOs, what would that be?
You are asking me what do I recommend as a
yeah, please.
There's a continuous training. I've been at CERN for 26 years and I learn every day. So I don't think there is only one single training. They have to understand what's their role. They have to understand what they can help the organization and how they can help industry. So it will be a continuous learning in every aspect, technical, commercial, rules, everything, non-stop.
Okay, I see also that Rafael wrote that actually for a training system, a good compromise would be one every 6 months. So I think also that this is a very good idea, because it can cover then many fields like communication, like database, like also meetings with technicians. Maybe that would be also for help to other ILOs. Okay. Yeah, we have two. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but in the chat there's a lot of questions, and there's questions from Alan about impact. Alan, do you want to jump in?
I didn't notice this.
The question didn't come from me. The question came from somebody else. The question from somebody was, how do you measure impact? And I don't know how you measure impact, but I know how you don't measure impact, which is you don't measure on the wins that a country may gain, because you can't control the price demanded by the company. So I don't know how you we've discussed that in the UK. We don't know how to measure impact. I don't know how to measure impact. How does Christina measure impact?
So how do we measure? We don't measure the impact, but there is a University of Milan has been doing 3 or 4 different studies on different areas for the last 3-4 months. Some of them are empirical. They take an empirical data for hundreds of companies that have been working for CERN, and what's the impact for their companies before and after.
That's a different question.
Okay.
We've done that as well. The question was, how do you measure the impact of ILOs?
Okay, fine. Excuse me. Excuse me.
I know what you mean, Christina. UK does the same thing. We use that as well to try to advertise the benefits of working for CERN. but it's the measurement of impact. You know your performance and evaluation every year. You set goals and then you measure against that. We don't know how to do that for Ilos.
So one thing that we measure, for example, is how many companies are provided by, that's something that we can do. How many, the Ilos, how many companies they provide the name to any procurement, to any market survey or to any price inquiry or any, the call for tender is different because it will be qualified. Out of those company the names that you provide, how many of them reply? How many of them do not reply? How many of them get a contract? And that's the kind of KPIs that can easily be done.
Yeah.
And we follow them.
Okay, does anyone has any
because
other
in
question?
any case, as Alan is saying, it's not I mean, it's not how much, how many contracts you get, but at least how many offers you get.
Then we have Sophie. Jorge, I see you, but Sophie had a question for like a couple of
Anna also had something after Sophie.
Sophie, I think you're muted, or we don't hear you. No, you're no. Maybe put your questions in the question in the chat. We don't hear you. Sorry, Anna.
I just had one remark. Thank you so much, Christina, for a nice presentation. And I think the trainings at CERN is really, really good. Really appreciated. And with a good frequency every 2 years, I think it's good. What we also do at CERN is that we share experience among the ILOs in the ILO networking meetings. So we tell each other how we do work and share best practices and so forth. But one thing that I think of when you talk here and when Sonia is asking questions, and I'm an ILO at many different facilities, is that it would be really interesting to have training with a number of different facilities, because my experience running between the facilities that there is a lot of best practice at the different facilities, ESS, FAS, CERN, XFEL, Future for Energy and so forth. And the CDTI team with Belen, Jorge and Javier has updated the procurement handbook. And maybe that could be a base for actually have one-day training with a number of facilities being in that training. That would be really, really interesting, I think.
That was kind of planned as part of the Big Science Business Forum, because there was an entire day. Paolo, perhaps you could say something there.
Hello.
Hi, Paolo.
Hi, everybody. No, just sorry because I didn't follow all the debate, so that for instance, I didn't see the presentation, and I was really curious to see it, and I hope that it will be possible so to have this kind of presentation. Just keeping that what I heard, but you know, for in the PERIA side, here we have also Anna and Belen that are member of the board, so they can give also all the information that you need. But I would like just to stress that this kind of training of Ilos and action for training of action, that is something that I feel is really important, and is something that we have already discussed during the PERIA. So right now, I would like just to confirm all our kind of support of this kind of initiatives, and we can arrange and we can coordinate this kind of action. But anyway, just to go deep, that Belen is a person that was also managed this group, and Anna that is involved in this group, that could be really interesting to have contact with them.
Okay, thank you very much, Paolo.
Jorge, you had a question.
Are there any other questions?
We're running out of time, so
sorry for
we're running out.
Sorry for being so participant. Two points. One for clarification regarding the Big Science Business Forum. In the Big Science Business Forum is going to be a dedicated plenary session devoted to procurement. Very important one. It is going to be started by a presentation that has been prepared by CDTI, but also with all big science organizations, titled How to Do Business with Big Science Organizations. It's going to be really interesting. And it's going to be the start of a debate with and from procurement responsibles of big science organizations on key issues and important issues regarding procurement at big science organizations. If you have doubts, go to the webpage of BSBF. And the second, I have a question for Christina. You have been more than 20 years working at CERN in the procurement, and I assume you have seen hundreds of Ilos, okay, from different countries, different people. Some of them, I'm sure, are excellent. Some of them are fair. Some of them are terrible. Of course, I don't want to know the names, but which are the skills you see the Ilos need to improve? I don't want to examples. I only want which thing in your judgment, in your expertise, what are the skills you think they should train and they should improve to become a good Ilo, because this will be a driver for us to focus on training.
So thank you, Jorge. Just to mention, just a comment on the idea of big science for business. The day of training is not going to be doing business with CERN is for the companies. It's not for the ILOs. So it's going to be, for me, it's a different training than the one that we offer every second year. Just to come back, which differentiates a good ILO than a bad ILO? It's very simple. Bad ILOs never give us any names from the companies, never put us in contact with any company in their countries. They are non-existent. Afterwards, we are just willing to work. You are not going to be successful. I mean, every company that you're going to bring may not be awarded a contract at the end. It doesn't matter, because you will, it could be that you bring a company that may not be interested for a particular tendering process that will be interesting for a future one, and they will know about CERN and they will learn about CERN, and it will give us the opportunity to know about the company. So that's not important if it wasn't the right company for this specific tendering process. What's important is that you understand which are our business. You come to CERN and you go and see, you understand what we do in the organization, what we buy, what we will be needing. That's important. And you can prepare yourself. And if you think that you can have a few companies that will be interested in a particular sector, come and talk to us. We will be willing to work with a bunch of companies in a particular sector. But for this, you have to understand what we buy, and you have to understand industry and communicate with us and see which are the opportunities that will come. If you know which are the opportunities that will come, and you look and find right companies in your country, you have done everything right.
Proactivity is important then, and positioning.
Yeah.
Are there any comments, questions?
Okay, so if you have any more comments, questions, anything, please, Madison, maybe you can put the link to our LinkedIn group back to the chat. Don't hesitate. It's your forum, and everybody seems to be quite interested in this topic. So I'm sure, like, if there's any questions or anything, people will be happy to answer and support you. This said, I thank you very much, everyone. I think it was a great session. We ran out a bit of time, but that was worth it. We're going to continue this discussion next week, but focusing on the ICO part, and I hope you will come back, because that could also be very interesting for both sides. And Marco from EMSO will be leading the conversation with Juliana and from Clarin, and Sridhar from SIOS. So I'm very much looking forward, and stay tuned. There will be more information coming through our social media and your mailbox. And wish you a good week, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks.